What a good girl.
Welcome to the Fucking For Real podcast, where we get feral about spicy romance novels and horror movies. My name is Selena Michelle, and this is Lilith Siren. I don't know which direction you're at. And yeah, we're here because, well, for me, I really just like yapping about books. Really just like yapping about books. And horror movies. And she also likes to do those things. And so we figured other people might like to listen to us yap about it.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we wanted to do something like we have like the book talk girlies and the Instagram book talk girlies, but we really wanted to like niche down on people that are really into the aspect of horror and book talk and books, and we wanted to kind of go into also the personal mentality of how these books do affect us and our lives, because a lot of podcasts don't typically go into that kind of thing of the psyche of horror movies and books together, romance books together. So we kind of want to, from week to week or however often we post, kind of keep up with our mentality each time we post about what we're going through when we're reading these books, as well as our personal lives. So you'll get to know us a lot more, and how, because I think when we talk about horror movies and dark romance novels, you don't really get into the mentality of how it affects you in the real world. And I don't think podcasters talk about that all too much, other than, oh my god, I want a book boyfriend. It's like, yeah, but how does that also, like, reading some of the how romances work affect how you think about relationships as well? So we'll be going into that today.
Let me tell you something. There are often times when I'm talking to my booksta besties and I'm reading a new book. Like I just finished reading God of Fury and God of Malice I read last week. And I was like, I love this man. Something's wrong with me. So like we can talk about it, because I know I'm not the only one. I see all of the AI edits and shit that people make of all of the unhinged book talk boyfriends, you know? So we're gonna have a fun time getting into the nitty gritty of that.
Yeah, for sure. So that's basically how we got into the podcast. We both are performers. Mine's more public. I'm Lilith Siren. You can look me up on Instagram. We'll have my both stuff below. This is Selena. We're not going to go into her professional because she has what we call a muggle job.
Yeah,
and we don't.
I mean, if you know, you know. If you don't,
you don't.
You can figure it out, but I will not be telling you outright.
Yeah. And so anybody that does know Selena by their muggle persona, please do not post anything content-wise, comments on Instagram, any of our social media pages, strictly going by Selena. We're not bringing in the performer page. So, if obviously her performer persona is on my socials, but we just ask and respect that you don't share or mix the two. I know it is a little bit difficult, and I will have to edit out sometimes me calling her by her performer name, but I'm going to try my best not to do that, because that's how we met. And of course, we met through Trudel's action movie show.
No, it wasn't that show. It was Tuesday.
Was it not that show? I thought you were in that one.
I didn't do that show.
But I thought, yeah, that's when I met you, I thought, though. Like, I actually formally met you. I was in other shows with you, but that's the first time you talked to me.
No, I didn't go to that show because I wasn't in that show.
I thought you went. You did go to that show. I promise you did. Because that was our first meeting of having the whole, like, You want to be in my show? Because I was on tour that week. I know, because that was one of my things that I did, because I had to go to Jacksonville the next day for brunch and then come back. It's fun.
Well, it's possible that I blocked that out because I don't feel with that lady anymore.
I
That
know.
lady can go to hell.
Understand.
Disrespectfully. Sorry.
Disrespectfully.
Um,
Yeah. So that's how this whole podcast can be. We've been friends for a little bit now, and it was just, we have very similar interests in a lot of things.
also,
But mhm.
Twilight was, which I shouldn't have changed. I wore a Twilight shirt to work today because I have multiple because I'm a Twilight girl.
Did you love your gift
Really
that I
true.
got you?
Yes, I did.
I got Selena a a car freshener with Edward's
I got
face.
my car back today. I can use it.
It's a Edward car freshener when he's in the bio lab and he's just like, "Hi from Bella." It's so good.
I'll post a picture tomorrow when I put it up.
Yes, for sure. All right, are you ready to get into it?
Yeah. With that being said, boys and girls, this is the podcast of Killer. Now, where the hell have you been, loca?
I'll tell you. So another thing we wanted to get into before getting into the nitty gritty of the books, because we know that we are going to have a lot of people from our performing world be so they know us, but we also want to have new friends and family come up to this. So we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves and what we've been up to. So again, third time's a charm. I'm Lilith Siren. I am a burlesque performer and a singer and a cabaret singer. Oh, in retrospect, also, if you do know my Muggle life, please keep it completely separate from this. I like the idea of keeping my performance separate from my personal life. My friends and my job and my parents all know what I do, but I still would like to keep it separate.
Yes, because that's your prerogative. And
It is.
consent
So,
is sexy and mandatory, and we do not consent for you to mix these personas
no.
up.
No, they do not. So with that being said, I will talk a lot about my burlesque experience on this channel, on the podcast channel, and on your YouTube channel. And that is okay. You can fully discuss anything with my burlesque life. So that being said, I have had a lot of shows. That hasn't really been a lot of shows, just a couple, but I have a lot of shows coming up here soon. I'm in the Atlanta area a lot. And that's also another thing. I'm in the Florida area. I'm not going to pinpoint where I live, so you can don't try.
We're not.
No. Even though again, it does say on some of my socials, again, please use respect and not spread that around.
You might like stalkers in the books, but do not like them in real life. There's really
no,
big difference.
it is. It is, and it's very respectful. So we just ask that you kind of do the best you can. But performing, getting back into it because I've been on hiatus for a little bit, and being on hiatus and being able to read these books has been actually very helpful.
Do you see her?
Catalina always steals the show, guys.
Let me just.
So kind of tying everything together. Burlesque in itself kind of gives you a whole new idea about romance and things like that, and navigating your way through sex and that kind of thing. But reading these books is kind of, especially for what I've been going through in my own personal life lately, especially with Butcher and the Blackbird, which is your recommendation for what we're talking about this week. It definitely gave me a hint on the fact that I need someone supportive in my life, of what I do in my career. And I was going through someone that was not, and we're not talking shit on the channel. I made a promise that I would not, even though I know this person is probably going to see it or hear it. I do deeply still care about this person, even though they are not in the best place right now. And I have cut them off. But it was it elaborated what boundaries needed to be happen, and it really solidified that, like, the way the characters in the book had their friendship first, which is also very universally similar to what happened in in my personal life. And I did like that about the book, and it kind of related to. It was very nice to see that to relate that to my personal life, and that's just kind of how we'll kind of keep talking about the romance novels and the dark romance novels kind of intertwining with our lives. But this one hit home especially for me this week, or this month to say. So that's generally what I've been up to. I'll be doing a lot more shows in May, especially in Atlanta, which is where Selena is. So we will be filming in person, or try to film in person. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the audio to work again better than the first time. If you heard at the beginning, take 2, we tried in person the first time, and the audio it's too much tit and ass in one room, and we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
A lot of personality and ass in one picture, and we'll figure it out. But we're going to discuss it. We're discussing this again, which again, we are very neurodivergent, so we have no problems talking about the same things over and over again for long periods of time. So it's not that big a deal.
Like I said, we like to yap.
We like to yap, and this is a topic we can talk about consistently. So,
yeah.
What have you been up to, Loka?
Well, just to sort of piggyback off what you said, like, something that I have learned about reading and what has helped me in my own, like, journey of dating myself kind of thing, like, I have learned what standards I want in a man, and, like, okay, I understand that all of the men that are in these books are written by women, but the thing that I realized is just that, like, there are certain things that I'm not willing to negotiate anymore. And I, last year, in August, early September, I became celibate. I say celibate because, well, abstinent. Because, yeah, abstinent. But, and it was really hard. It was a hard adjustment for me, but what makes it easier is that, like, I'm not willing to settle for the types of relationships and interactions that I'm going to have with somebody in the romantic sense anymore. Like, there are certain things that I can and cannot tolerate anymore, and reading these books really helps me, like, drive that home. Also, the men in these books, whether or not they're fictional, are a lot more satisfying to interact with than the men that I interact with on a daily basis. Prime example, I went to a dating event like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the point of it was, like, to do beyond swipe dating. And it was cool. And I probably won't do one of those things again soon. Well, because what I realized is that the dating pool, there's piss in the water.
Yeah, there is.
And
I'm a firm believer in the fact that, like, you'll meet who you want when the time is right, but at the same time, like, I believe dating is a healthy thing to do, and find, like, also a learning curve to figure out what you want in real life as well. And like you said, even though these guys are in the book are fictional, doesn't mean that guys like this don't exist, though.
Right. It doesn't.
What's that guy I just sent you earlier who
disclaimer.
Yeah. Yes. So he is very much that. He's a very lovable guy. He loves romance books, dark romance books.
Josh from Lights Out in real life.
Yes.
And for those of you that don't know, Josh from Lights Out is my number one book boyfriend. And I will never probably meet Pee-wee's Flamer. Also, he's a man that I know on the internet.
We don't do that. We don't do that. We manifest things. We never say never.
No, but, like, what if you do? He's just really cute, and I love him.
Anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
That's what I got. But what I was saying before, there's piss in the water of the dating pool, and I say that because I went to this dating event, and this guy mentioned at the event that he had a foot fetish, and we were like in a group of people. So it was one of the questions was like, what do you find really attractive in another person? And he said feet, so we started laughing because we're like, oh, you have a foot fetish, which I'm not yucking a yum. It was just funny the way that he said it.
Oh, okay.
And then he and I ended up exchanging numbers, and in our conversations, within like the first day that we had like a full conversation, he asked to see my feet 3 times in like different ways. And then he said, in order for us to go on a date, I would have to wear sandals. And I said, I'm not gonna cater to your fetish on the first date because I don't know you like that. And then he was like, well, I feel bad for you that you feel like wearing sandals is catering to somebody's fetish. And I was like, you got it. That you're gaslighting me, but I'm not even gonna argue with you. I
You
said,
should be
you're
glad
right.
At that point.
I said, you're right. My standards are too much for you. I hope you find somebody that will wear sandals for you, and then I'm on.
You know, when I told you when I told you online that I hope you find a guy that wears the ground you walk on, I didn't mean that. That's not what I meant. At all.
Yeah.
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 I think you just have to have a really positive attitude about it. And I think there's nothing wrong with reading dark romance novels, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting some certain qualities from there. Of course, like, you're gonna be heartbroken if you don't find your motorcyclist mafia husband. Like, that's...
Yeah. I also want him to be a farmer.
Yeah, you told me this.
I need him to be a farmer so that I can have goats and cows. Like, I don't know. Also, I'm reading, what am I reading right now? Axes and O's by Kayla Gross right now. I also want him to be a lumberjack.
Yeah.
So
I think most people that have criticisms about people who read dark romance novels, it's just like they think we're delusional. That's not the case. It's just like,
I mean, I am delusional, but not like that.
Not in that sense. I think we know that, like, I'm not specifically gonna just find the next biker guy and hop on a, that's not realistically what I'm thinking of. It's just like the idea is the underlying personality traits, and that's what most people don't. It's just it's boring if I wanted to, like, read a book about a guy in finance and we went on several dates to Soho, like, nobody's gonna read a book
for a
about
man
that.
in finance.
Finance.
Can we pause the recording for a second? Because for some reason my laptop is about.
The difference between the characters and stuff like that, and, like, basically the reason why I was man of finance was because we know in general we're not gonna find a mafia boss or something like that to just run on a foot. Like, and you have to write, if you're gonna write a book about romance, like, even with the qualities of what you want in a man, it's not gonna be exciting to read about, like, going on a date to Soho the entire book.
That's how we got to. I'm looking for a man in
finance.
Okay, yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. Let's.
I think people need to realize that dark romance girlies, we're not completely delusional. We know that, like, we're not gonna run off with the Italian mob. It's just something you need. It's just fun. The same reason for horror movies. It's like, it's a little fun tacked on the meat of what you want.
Yeah.
So,
and I think at some point, before we get into the book that we're talking about this week, I think at some point we should definitely talk about the correlation of, like, liking horror movies and liking dark romance and, like, the thrill aspect of both of those things, because at least for me, a lot of the dark romance that I read and that I like the most is, like, the kinky shit.
Yeah, of course. No, we can talk about that now because go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it is
the
definitely
segues into my first point about the book.
Yeah. A long time ago, I learned that there is a correlation between fear and sexual arousal.
Arousal.
I swear to God, I know words. Sexual arousal. Yeah, I was gonna say erosion, which that's not what we want. We do not want sexual erosion.
No.
Sexual arousal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I learned that, and it's obviously true, but it's just always something that kind of stuck with me. And I think it's an interesting concept, especially like for us in particular, because we both really love horror movies and dark romance.
Yeah.
And so I just think that that's, I don't know, I guess it's just worth noting.
It is. So you recommended me Butcher of Blackbird by
Yes.
Brian Weaver. So before we get started with that,
Brynne Weaver.
Brian Weaver. Sorry, I always mispronounce it. We're gonna read. I'm gonna read off the trigger warnings for this, because again, even though you already know what you're signing on to by watching this podcast, some of you may have just tuned in because you weren't listening, or you may just not know how deep the rabbit hole goes when it comes to these kinds of things. So we're going to try to find trigger warnings. I'm going to be better about reading the books and putting trigger warnings as well if we don't have a site where we can, or Selena will, but we will try our best to continue to keep trigger warnings prevalent, because even though we are dark romance girlies.
Yeah, especially if the author took the time to include the trigger warnings in the book, because not all of them do. Some of them put them, like, it's a note in their, like, forward or whatever. It's like, if you want to see the trigger warnings, please go to my website or whatever. But if they really take the effort to put the trigger warning in the book, like, I think it's us doing due diligence to share that with the people who are listening, because maybe they didn't read it and they just want to hear us yap about it. So we're going to give you the trigger warnings too.
Yes. And again, we will be announcing this ahead of time, before this premieres. So you do have a chance to read the book before this comes out. So from here on out, we're not going to say it again. These are all spoilers for the book, obviously. And we will try to connect and explain stuff as we go. That way, if you haven't read the book before, you'll kind of understand what we're talking about, with the little inside jokes and that. But we can only try our best. So, trigger warnings for this book. Eyeballs and eye sockets. Amateur surgery. Skin ornaments. Chainsaws, axe, knives, scalpels. A lot of sharp objects. Accidental cannibalism. Not so accidental cannibalism. Questionable use of a mummified corpse. Lobotomized manservant. Ill-advised use of kitchen implements. And the cookies and cream ice cream scene. Deleted sex scenes, which include but not limited to cockworming, rough sex, praise, kink, anal, adult toys, choking, spitting, dom, sub interactions, genital piercings. References to parental neglect and child abuse, parental loss. References to child sexual assault. It's a book about serial killers, so there's some generally messed up murder and chaos. So you want to go ahead and describe what this book is about? The plot of the book.
So
the underlying plot.
Yeah. So it's really just two serial killers who meet on accident. Rowan basically saves Sloane's life, because let's face it, if he hadn't shown up in that basement, she probably would have died in there. Although Lark is her best friend, so maybe not, but
we'll get into that.
And they meet and like hit it off, realize that they're both serial killers, and so they become friends. But from that very moment, they both had like an attraction for each other, but they don't live in the same state, so it was just friendship. They initiated this tournament where once a year they would meet up in a different city, and Rowan's brother would find a target for them, and they would have to each figure out who the target was, and whoever figured out first and killed that person won bragging rights. And so it's that, but it's also like you get to watch them fall in love. And as sinister as that is, it's such a crazy like juxtaposition, honestly, because like it's so morbid. It's so morbid and gross and weird, but it's also like so sweet because of the little things that he does for her. Like at one point, he really misses her, so um he organizes he goes to the city that she lives in. I think she lives in Raleigh, right?
Yeah, me.
He
Mm-hmm.
goes to the city that she lives in, pays the little kid to deliver groceries to her, and then calls her from like down the street from her house and walks her through making this dish so that basically they're cooking together. And like this kind of just goes back into like what we were saying, like the things that these books make you realize the things that you want in a relationship because like it's not even that specific act, it's the effort, man.
It is.
I am I have never had a man put that much effort into doing something for me. That's
Oh.
crazy. Yeah, I know.
I know.
Like, and I mean, it's possible that like some effort. I don't want to say no effort, but like the level of effort that man got on a plane for her and
Yeah.
didn't even go to her house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just
Yeah.
that type of shit really tugs at my heartstrings. I just think that that's so sweet.
I think
Um,
that's the general theme of like Rowan's character through the entire thing, and what makes Rowan,
yeah.
the golden retriever, love
Mhm.
and interest, and what people really love about him. Um, it's just the supportiveness and everything that he puts, and it's like, yes, I understand that like being obsessed with your partner is a little, but
Yeah.
it is in a way very he this Rowan's a very good character in a way that it's not like, I feel like it only when it gets to sexual parts is he like overly possessive.
Right.
Um, speak before we transcend to that. So um,
Yeah, I think I covered most of what the book is
just the
about. Like
plot.
I said, it's just the it's the murder competition and then also at the same time watching them fall in love with each other because it also none of this happens all at once. Like a lot of dark romance books, you'll see everything happens over the span of like a short period of time, but the
Mm-hmm.
pacing in this is over like 4 years.
Yes. So one of the I'm gonna kind of guide us in between this and the Reddit thread that I'm
Okay.
for book questions. Um, so one of the main, I think, people that were a little bit disappointed in was shit, hold on one second. Hold on, I'm gonna stop the recording for just a second.
Okay.
So kind of we can talk about it kind of scene to scene basis, kind of go from there because I feel like that would be the most organized thing for us to do at this point. Um, so there you're talking about. We open with Sloane, who has unfortunately um, fallen into some trouble with one of her kills, literally.
Talked about this when we did our first recording, but I
Yeah.
think she for the fact that she is like on an FBI, no, I don't know if it's like the FBI most wanted or something, but like
Yeah.
the police are looking for her. You know what I'm saying? Like she does these very intricate things, and so the police are looking for her. But like she's a little sloppy. Like
Yeah, that's I think where I was trying to get to before I started. So a lot of the biggest complaints for people who have read this book are that both the serial killers are very unrealistic because they should have been caught by now because how sloppy they are. And the beginning scene is kind of like proving the point of just like she's supposed to have been doing this for a while now, like she's on an FBI list, like, and she's taking down this guy and then falls in a cage with him as she killed him. Like, that was one of my complaints. One of my complaints about the book was, I told you this before too, is just like these people are like, her and Rowan are supposed to be like these intricate, like famous serial killers, but they somehow mess up a lot. They're very sloppy. And we could talk about the police all day long. We're not going to do that on this channel, but they're not. The FBI is not slow.
yeah.
So, But that's what we open up with, is Sloane has fallen into the cage with someone she just killed by accident. And so she's stuck there with his decaying corpse. And this book, and the author has a weird sense of gruesome humor. So everything is humorous in this book. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is, again, the main complaint about this book that a lot of people get is, one, that the characters are floppy when it comes to their jobs. And two, there's a lot of complaints saying that this is not a dark romance novel. This is more of a dark comedy book.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd say it has themes of dark romance, but it's not fully dark romance but also dark romance has a lot of subcategories. I would consider this a subcategory of dark romance because of the fact that they are serial killers and the fact that they are not vanilla when they have sex.
I agree on that point. I think, though, if we did take away the fact that they were serial killers and did not have any other premise, this would not be a dark romance book.
Yeah.
I think you literally could put this in another situation and it would not be a dark... Like, if you literally put this in any other trope, it would not be... Like, if they were literally a mafia boss, and it would literally be considered just a romance novel. Even with the idea of them having sex. And I told you this before, that was also my other critique, was the fact that, like, I was not blown away by the sex scenes. Like, how they were written and how the feeling was, it was good. Like the sex scenes were good, but they weren't bad at all.
You could never get me to complain about the way that
Brynne, but I agree, but I said this in my first take. The biggest sex scene, like, the main sex scene was the restaurant, which is very lackluster to me, because I felt like that should have been, like, the first one. That should have been, like, the first big bang. And I feel like this book didn't have a big bang. The big bang was when they were at the house. And I'm like, that should not have been the big bang.
House. Yeah.
Which is funny, because wasn't Lights Out the same way with the knife handle? They were at someone else's house?
No, they were at her house.
They were at her house, but it was in a bedroom.
Yeah.
Are we getting to the point now where our biggest sex scenes are just going to be in the bedroom, because it's so... Like, it's so unrealistic for two people to love each other in their own
bedroom. I mean...
Like, that's our fantasy. Domestication is the biggest romance fantasy.
Places, I got Rex for you. Don't worry.
No, it's good. It's good. I've read a lot of dark romance novels, and that was my biggest complaint. It's like, that was our biggest sex scene. It's just like...
Yeah. And I think maybe this was more of the... on the romance side than the dark romance side, which is, I mean, what you were saying. It was a lot more
comedy. I think that was what people's biggest thing was. And, like, even with the trigger warnings, they were like, maybe we shouldn't have been so comedic about it. And I kind of understand. But I also understand that, like, you have to have... It's like with horror movies, you have to have a certain type of niche to understand it, because there's certain horror movies that are like, oh my god, this is not funny, blah, blah, blah. And the horror fans are like...
It has to be a little camp.
The Terrifier. It's campy.
Not seen that yet.
We're watching.
So I will say the other day I saw the shower scene, I think, from Terrifier.
Yes, that's one of my favorite scenes.
I don't remember what app I saw it on. It might have been Facebook or something. But I was like, oh no, I don't want to see this. And I was like, wait, let me watch it and see. Let me see. It was like a fan edit, so there was like music playing in the background. I think Sleep Token or something was playing in the background. But so I was like, let me see. And I was like, okay, it wasn't as bad.
Did you see the whole thing though? Did you see the whole?
No, because I got scared. But
no, you have to watch the whole thing, because there's that's the kill in that one after they get out of the shower when he goes after the male. I'm not telling you what happens because you have to watch it. But that is one of my favorite kill. That's not even the best kill of that movie. But yeah, there's one kill in that movie that I know you won't make it through, though. I know there is specifically one because I barely made it through it.
Is that Terrifier 3 or the first one?
Mm-hmm. Terrifier 3. And I'm just gonna tell you, there's an animal involved, and it's
yeah, anyway. Not. I will turn that shit right the fuck off. You know,
you're gonna have to look into a pillow. I'm gonna be the man. You're gonna have to deal with it.
I'm not watching that. We can fast forward that part.
No, I can't. You just have to close your eyes and your ears. You have to listen, though. You have to listen. You can't.
No, that's the worst part. Yo, I watched a horror movie last year. I didn't even finish that movie just because it was really bad, which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
an actor that I really love, Jonathan Rhys Meyers, was in it, and I was so excited to see his beautiful face. But the movie was really bad, so I did not finish it. But there was a part where somebody put a cat down a garbage disposal.
Oh, and it's not like that. It is kind of like that, but it's not. Trust me, that's gross.
I don't want to hear, but then, and so what I've gotten into the habit of doing is when I see an animal pop up in a horror movie, I go to that website, Does the Dog Die? And I type in the movie to find out what happens to the animal. And so somebody put a timestamp on when the cat goes down the garbage disposal, and whatever app it was on, I think it was Paramount Plus, it like wouldn't seamlessly fast forward.
No,
so there was a point where I was fast forwarding, and then it stopped, and I started to hear the cat screaming, and I was like, no. So yeah. Is it like a cat or a dog?
It's a rat.
Oh, I mean,
it's a kill.
I don't like that.
No, it's a kill involving. It's kill involving the rat.
So is the rat used as a weapon?
Kind of. Oh, my Terrifier 3 fans, you know. It's bad.
So I don't. Bad. Well, okay. I believe you.
You just wanted me to spoil it for you because you probably won't be watching the scene anyways.
Well, so here's my thing.
You're not gonna watch the scene.
I'm less bothered by animals that are not cats and dogs. I don't know what that says about me. Or like animals that I can see myself having as pets.
I'm just gonna spoil it for you. Because you're not gonna, even if we watch it, you're gonna look away as soon because you know what's gonna happen. But basically, the premise, the whole thing is, trigger warning, guys, animal abuse. He's killing the mom, and he puts like this pipe down her throat, and he puts the rat in the pipe and starts lighting it on fire with a blowtorch, and covers it up, and she's like, it forces her to the rat
inhale.
The rat escaping the fire and goes in and just
But so then, like, the rat obviously goes inside her body.
I don't remember if the rat lives or not, but he gets his way out.
That's what it was going to be my question. Does he like eat its way out of her?
Yeah.
That's horrifying. Not as
no.
Bad as I couldn't remember, but I'm sure seeing it is horrifying.
I think they killed the rat though afterwards. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But back on track here.
We will update once we watch that movie because we'll probably talk about it on the podcast.
So I'm pretty sure I didn't accurately depict that scene either, but I remember the tube and the rat. That's all I could. Because I told you it's a rough watch.
Lovely. I'm so excited for
that. Anyways, back to what we're saying. So that was the critiques of what the most were critiques. Or the people that didn't like the book was because they felt like the characters themselves were really bad serial killers. And then again, they felt like the same thing I did with the whole like sex scenes. They were really good. They thought the sex scenes were good, but again, lackluster in the dark romance world compared to other books.
That's fair. I liked them though. I mean, I do agree they weren't dark because I really started reading dark romance like last year. I mean, I read like the Crossfire series in like 2016. I did read it again last year, but that's like I would say that's spicy romance versus dark romance.
I still count it as a dark romance because, again, there are themes of the possessiveness, like the sexual aspect of using anal and stuff like that. There is dark themes through this book. I think it's a very good intro book to spicy.
Yeah,
that's what in general. I just think it's a very intro level, and I think that's what people will have a problem with because people who go into reading this book because it got popular very quickly are already established dark romance readers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So when I first started reading dark romance, like one of the first books that I read that was like dark was Haunting Adeline.
Yeah, that's hard to
Have you
compare
read
up
that?
against.
Have you read Haunting Adeline?
Um, I read a little bit of it, but then like a lot of shit happens. That's one of my lists to get back on though.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I can assign that book to you in a future episode.
We're gonna have to because Haunting Adeline's on the top
It's very
top tier.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so then maybe I shouldn't say what I'm gonna say.
No, go ahead. You're fine. I'll forget.
Well, at one point he fucks her with a gun.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
And I was like, honestly, that's not even like the spiciest thing that happens in that book.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't, like, if that happened to me, I don't know how I would respond to that. Like, I don't
think we know how to respond to that either.
because it was loaded.
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
Again, we'll get into that, but yeah, I think if you
so like obviously something is wrong with me, but
like I said, I think going into this book, if you're going to read this book and you're already in an established dark romance, it's a very fun, lighthearted, dark, spicy book. It's not as dark. It's like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's at the 1 to 2 tier. And that's okay, because not every dark romance novel is going to be fucking with a gun, like, level. So, and the whole point of this podcast is we're talking about all kinds. So
yeah, and I think it's necessary to have that gradient of like different levels of darkness in them, because sometimes like there was a week where I was reading nothing but like the most unhinged shit, and I was like, I need a break. This is like I'm getting a little bit of brain rot from just all of the cock and cunt, and you know, I need
sometimes you need to step out of it. I think that's great.
Like a small town romance that's still spicy and has
dark themes in it, knives, guns, murder. Yeah, and that's what this is. And I do agree that like there are some plot holes for sure. There's decent plot holes. This book isn't to read a fucking Mockingbird of dark romance novels. Like she's a great writer. It's very comedic. Like, it's fun. It's supposed to be just fun. And I think if you don't get the fact that it's fun, you're gonna critique this book pretty hard. And it's really not that kind of book to critique. Like, the whole point of it is to enjoy the romance and, like, and I also think that's another thing we were talking about. Like, I don't know why I keep on messing with my makeup, but another thing that, like, we keep on talking about is just, like, one of the good things that is not portrayed in a lot of dark romance novels is just, like, the friendship aspect first. And I like that was put in this one. I like that they had a friendship before, like, they were trying to stay friends before that. It wasn't just, like, it's always either an enemies, or, like, strangers, and then, like, this was genuinely, like, two crazy-ass
romance.
Hmm?
I said I do love a good enemies to lovers romance.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
no, I know what you mean. It's nice when they're actually friends.
Yeah, it was just nice to have a different kind of book, and I think that's what she was going for, and that's okay. I just think people took it way too seriously. Like, a lot of people on Reddit took it way too seriously for this book.
Reddit is...
It's hard. But they did have good points. Some of them had really good points.
Have good points. But, you know, in The Lion King, when Simba and Nala they went past that area that they were supposed to go to, and when they're running back, they're in that area with all the thistles and the
dark
dead shit.
The dark.
Yeah, that's Reddit.
That is Reddit.
So
right. There are good discussions, and there are people that are really good on there. But that's why I said this particular thread, I made sure to kind of like find a thread that was like people that were saying good things and bad things. So I did say the critiques. So the good things were basically what we were saying. That, like, it was nice to say that they were friends. There was a lot of people saying that they enjoyed the fact there was a lot of comedy into it. And there was a lot of they did, like, enjoy the fact that, like, there was a lot of humor in it. Like, humor was fun. there wasn't a lot of people like. I think the only people that complained about like some of the humor in it came to was the infamous, which we're going to talk about, cookies and cream ice cream scene. We're going to talk about that in a minute because I have a whole that scene alone kind of the reason why I like talking about that scene, one, because it has the most popular scene in it. Two, I like talking about that scene separately because it kind of all that whole scene has like my whole list of about that book. So let's backtrack a little bit. So we talked about Sloane being in the cage, and then Rowan finds her, and he's obsessed with her from the beginning.
From jump.
From the jump. He's not obsessed with her. He's obsessed with her work. Let me rephrase that. He's obsessed with her work. True. So he obviously finds her attractive, but he geeks out over her profession first. And as somebody who is a burlesque performer, and I would love to find somebody who's supportive of my work.
I think that initial, like, without her knowing him, and that's sort of her first impression of him,
mm-hmm.
It's just such a good example of his golden retriever, like, personality, because he's like the fucking orb weaver. Like, he just is so fucking excited about it. And I just...
Even though they're horrible at their jobs, I mean, it's still, he's obsessed with it. So, I mean, I get that people have a little bit of issue with the idea, like, some people don't, there are some people who don't like the whole golden retriever in the streets and then, you know, Rottweiler in the sheet.
That's crazy because...
I know! I'm like, those are people who don't...
If you are this man, go to my DMs. But, like, be respectful. I'm mostly kidding, but, like, if you are this man, let's talk about it.
She loves her.
The golden retriever soft dom is a top tier combo. Like,
I do agree by the fact that, like, that, like I said, that it kind of rolls into my whole thing about the whole, like, building the sexual scenes a little bit better, because it kind of like, usually you have some sort of inkling that, like, the soft dom is going to come out in the real life. She didn't do too good of, like, there wasn't a big connect with those two in his personality, and, like, you didn't get that kind of hints in between the sex. When it came to the sex, it was literally just, like, we've had golden retriever this entire time, and it literally was, like, that as soon as they hit it. And without any, like, building up of their relationship, and that's a little weird.
I think that probably happened more so because most of their relationship is through text and phone calls. They don't have a lot of times where they get to be with each other and see the nuances of the way that they interact with each other.
Well, even when you're talking through text, there's some semblance of, like, this personality is going to come out, and they didn't have that. I'm not saying it's a horrible thing. It brought up my point that we had in the first take of our video, that, like, which is not necessarily a bad thing. This book, if you read this book, a lot of it is going to be very plot heavy versus character building. Which, for some people, that's a good thing, and some people kind of teetered on it. For me personally, I didn't mind it in this book. Because it kind of, for me personally, it, like, because it had so much comedy in it, I didn't mind that it didn't care to build as much. And it kind of got us through what it needed to get where it needed to be. But the first half of the book did kind of drag with the plot. Not in a bad way. It just kind of, like, heavily built the plot the very first book. And then it kind of slammed us into the relationship towards the end.
And again, I think that's because the dynamic of their relationship was text-based, and that's hard to...
It is very hard to convey that over a book.
Right.
Without being, like, showing it, like, instead of doing the 50 Shades where you see the whole chapter dedicated to their text. I understand. I definitely understand. But that is also an author choice. That's also an author choice. You didn't have to do that way.
Right. When you read Leather and Lark, I'm curious to see how you feel about it with Lark and Lachlan's relationship versus Rowan and...
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I had to just be like... Because it basically, like, to be honest, I'm gonna spoil our next book. The next book we're gonna read is Ice Planet Barbarians because I'm unhinged. And I'm probably gonna get to do a lot of unhinged books recommendations just because.
Oh, same. I just wrote down the next one that I want to do because we were talking about how this one wasn't spicy enough, and I'm coming
You're
in hot.
throwing it in there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But it gives me Georgie and her man a little bit. But anyways, yeah, I'm not necessarily complaining. I'm just outlining the facts on this for me, and because overall, I really did like this book. I did think like I said, I did think the cooking together was a very cute touch. I love the romance built between them two. They are idiots, though. They're idiots. They're serial killer idiots.
I do love that the cooking together thing happened mostly when they weren't in the same room, because like something that I've been seeing people post about a lot in regard to like books and tropes and stuff is that like real people who like to cook do not want to cook with another person. And honestly, I'm like, absolutely, yeah, you're in my way. Get out of my way.
And if we can combine
you can be in the kitchen while I'm cooking, but like, don't get away.
Don't be around my stuff. You can cook for me, and I can cook for you on separate occasions. But and you can squeeze my butt while I'm doing it. But that's about it. So we reach that, and then they escape. They go out to barbecue right after, which after seeing maggots on the ground, I don't know how you do that.
I'm not eating. Although she was stuck there for like 3 days, so like maybe her body was just like, no, I need to eat.
You need to eat.
I don't know that my first choice would have been like fucking brisket, but
no, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know if that is it, but that's when we learn about the Rowan's growing attraction towards Sloane. Like I said, that's when he's like, okay, she's out of. I like that he waited till she got out of the cage and was like, and changed and was like, okay, now I see it. Titties. Like he wasn't just looking at her in the cage and being like, she was a fascinating hot bitch, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, she wasn't. She was covered in all the things.
Well, because I'm sure that she pissed herself, and
she had to, because I wouldn't have moved.
Realistically, she was there for like I don't remember how long exactly she was there, but at least 24 hours.
Right.
Because his body had already started decaying. So she was there for a minute. So
and I know I talked about this in the first take, but like the sentient maggots threw me.
Yeah. Brynne Weaver is really good for fucking up some food.
Like she's the idea really that like, well, it wasn't even just that for me. Well, yes, the pasta, but like the fact that like in my mind
they were talking to her.
They were talking to her, and in my mind, they were like the fucking nematodes from fucking SpongeBob, like the way tearing shit up. Because she's talking about like she's talking about how like he's talking to her like, you want me to save you, and they're like sentiently all just going in one and just coming towards her like sentiently knowing what they're gonna do. It reminded me of the nematodes from fucking SpongeBob. Absolutely. That's all I kept thinking about. That's literally all I could think about.
Absolutely. While we're talking about food, I really feel like we should just jump to the ice cream.
Okay, can we wait just a second? Let's get into the how the competition real quick, and then we'll hit that next scene, because it's literally into that, because that scene's gonna last a minute, because I gotta talk. I wrote more notes about that.
I know, but it's because we kept talking about food, and I really.
Yeah, I know. We'll get there. Because I feel like if we don't cover the competition part, we're never gonna get there. So, because that's also another thing. I completely glossed over the fact that they did that hotel scene. Where were they at again? When they did that? The park, yeah.
And when she goes to visit him?
The first hunt they do. Where he basically hears her on that date. See, you forgot too. Like that's what I'm saying. It's a very easily forgettable scene.
That's a whole chapter. Which is crazy, because that's like really like where when they start to realize that
they have feelings, and you forget about it. That's what I'm saying. You forget about it.
That was like a B&B. It wasn't a hotel. It was like a bed and breakfast.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's a forgettable scene, and I don't like that because it's a lot of nothing, but it's a very important scene because they both start realizing that they have feelings for each other. And again, they're talking over the year's time of getting excited for this game, and they're trying to stay friends, but they know they have an attraction towards each other.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not gonna hold you. I was really trying hard not to talk about this on the podcast, but like I said, because the person is blocked. But like that was one of our things that we were talking about doing was like a Primal Play meetup because they. I don't want to get too into it because then everybody will know who I'm talking about. But they have something that they do every year somewhere, and it's very vacant in Primal Play area, and that was one of the things we were like talking about consistently was setting up to meet the excitement to do that thing. So that's right up my alley because I'm in a Primal Play. But the idea of competition, because I'm into Primal Play very heavily. I need to get back on my feet after my accident for sure. I've been running, but Primal Play is hot to me. And the idea of having competition is also a competition is hot to me. Like having actual competition and outsmarting each other. Like that's hot to me. Oh, hold on. I had to charge my phone. But anyways, you can talk. Let me see if I can get this figured out.
No, I absolutely love that. And like I think it was such a like them developing this was such a cute way for them to like find a way to stay in contact with each other and like keep something for them to look forward to so that it would I mean I don't know. I just think like that was kind of cute of I don't was it was his idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was his idea. I understand they had to wait for a year because obviously you can't just be killing people left and right. You're going to get caught. I think I talked about this in the main one. Now I understand that I think about it why they started her out as 23, but it still was weird that she was
at the end it ends that she's 27.
Because they've been doing it for so long every year. I still don't agree with keeping her at 20. I don't know why. I don't agree with keeping her at 23 at the beginning of the book as an established.
Well, and I think, yeah, and I'm thinking about it now, and I understand why it's weird, but it also I think speaks to the fact that she like maybe that's why she's on the sloppier side as a serial killer. I don't remember how old Rowan is. I think he's a little older, but
he's only like a year or two. I think a couple years. I should have looked that up, but I can now while you're talking.
But I think it speaks to the fact that they're a little bit like messier because they're on the younger side. They're still juvenile.
But they still fucked up later down
the reason that's true. I think the reason though that she starts so early, well, both of them really is
but how are they so established with the FBI at that point? That's the problem.
They had experience with their first kills when they were very young. I think she was in high school.
Yeah.
When she killed somebody for the first time. And I think I don't think he was actually in high school, but he was high school age when they killed the person that they killed.
Right. Still, it's still weird. I mean, I understand why it was done. It's just still a weird concept, you know, to have an established job like hers and then have that at 23 already.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how they didn't shove it in your face, though, because you know how with some books they shove it in your face that, like, the main character is, like, super intelligent and better than everybody else. I like that they didn't do that with Sloane, though. Yeah. Well, Rowan did, but Rowan did. That's because he was obsessed.
You're giving me anxiety.
I'm about to say, make sure.
Whatever you're doing.
You're talking to Catalina?
Yes.
For
those that don't know, I have a cat, and her name is Catalina. Well, you saw her before. She was sitting over there.
Yeah.
But now she's sitting right next to my feet and giving me anxiety because I can't see what she's doing, and she likes to silently let me know when there are bugs in my house. Not that my house is messy. I live in Atlanta, okay?
Yeah, for real. Okay, so you want to get in the favorites? Everybody's favorite scene?
So, I guess this wasn't their first kill. It was their second, right? Third. Okay.
Well, because you had the guy he brutally beat up was before that. I remember he beat up in front of her.
The first one, yeah.
So this was the second one, I think.
Okay. So yeah.
No, because they killed the first one in the hotel with the bed and breakfast. See, I always forget about that one. So that
yeah, the first that's the same one that you're talking about. That he brutally
no, because there's one where no, because there's another one. This is what I'm talking about with like
no, that's the guy that he brutally beats up and she's about to leave and then he calls to her. That's the first one. That's the same guy. It starts out in the hotel because
which one is the one that kills at the gala? His birthday.
They don't actually end up doing that because they get interrupted.
I thought they killed him. That's why I got
fire starts at his.
Oh yeah. Okay, now I remember. Cool. Anyways, continue. My bad.
So this was the second kill. So, they are meeting with some old man,
Francis,
and I can't hear that name and not think of Deadpool.
Same.
So they go to this man's house and he's serving them dinner, and this is where the accidental
and not so accidental
cannibalism comes in. So he is serving them beef niçoise salad, and Rowan eats that shit up. He eats it up.
And he is drunk at this point.
Because he's drunk and then he passes out because the wine was drugged.
Which again,
and this
why
is
the hell, as a serial killer, are you getting drunk at your house?
But to be fair, he didn't know that was the target yet. I don't think he peeped.
It doesn't matter. Like if I was a serial killer, I'm on edge all the time.
Yeah, especially for this specific trip. Like the point of this trip was to find the person. So, like, I'm not drinking. I'm not doing anything that puts me under the influence.
I'm fake drinking. Like, we're not doing this.
Yeah, so he gets drunk, passes out, and then...
Oh, and he was also drunk because he was being obsessed with her during the table, too, if you remember, because he's just drunk and, like, he doesn't understand. He got drunk because he was planning to fuck her across the table.
So, what happened to your camera? Oh.
There you go.
So... When he comes to, that man is tied up, I think, and she's in the process of killing this man, and then she's telling him, she's like, I was trying to tell you not to drink the fucking wine, but your golden retriever ass was so excited about the homemade honey mustard sauce. I don't remember what was disgusting about that, but everything that he made was made from humans, so...
Yes, cannibalism. He was a cannibal, guys. He was cannibal. He's a sexual pervert and cannibal.
Right. So, anyways, she's in the process of, after she killed him, she's in the process of cleaning up the scene. She goes into the kitchen, and the manservant, David, is just sitting in there eating ice cream.
Lobotomized manservant.
Right, this man is lobotomized.
You still here?
And
hold on.
They go and look at the ice cream. The ice cream has an
hold on. I had to stop. Alright, we're recording again. Anyways. I think it glitched out at about...
They walk into the kitchen and David, this lobotomized manservant, is eating ice cream. Ice cream. It's cookies and cream. And the cream is made from man cream. Okay?
Demon.
It's made from man.
Demons.
And I remember when we talked about this last time, because we had a little bit of a debate about how the man cream was harvested. Now, I think that he was just jerking these men off and collecting their sperm. No. You said that he was killing them and scooping it out. Probably not like that.
You gotta eat these guys.
That was a horrifying visual. I'm so sorry. But
because he was eating these people, so I don't think he was literally sucking these men off.
Well, I didn't think he was sucking them off. I thought he was jerking
them
off. Or
jacking them off. I don't think
I think I always assumed that it was probably David's cum, though. That's why.
But I feel like I feel like he was just being a cannibal to eat food. I don't think he would have ate his own. I feel like he would have been so specific, and he was like so much. I feel like he needed the flavor of somebody else's bodily fluids. I feel like he literally cut them shits open like Cadbury eggs and just took it out. I don't think there's any possible way that I don't think he did anything else. Or he may have made David do it. This is why I think he made David do it. Lobotomized servant. Because, plot twist, everybody, David wasn't lobotomized. So David's kinky, really nasty ass was eating the semen knowing what it was. I thought about that yesterday. This man was eating that cookies and cream ice cream. He knew what it was because the entire time David was not lobotomized. He was faking it.
The comment that I have...
that nasty fucker was eating that...
Well, I have to say this in a way that removes me as a person from this type of thing. So, like, I don't do this, okay? But, like, for people who swallow, like... I mean, what's the difference? You know what I... Do you see where I'm going with this? Like...
Oh, that's not my problem. If you swallow, and you're into it, you're into. It's the fact that this man... Because that wasn't David's semen. That means that the fact that, like... David was pretending to be lobotomized and eating someone else's sperm that died.
I guess it's the death factor. The fact that the sperm came from a dead person. It's dead cum.
Somebody's dead. Somebody else is...
There is the episode title.
Eating a dead man's cum? We can't put that on the internet.
No. The one with the dead man's cum. And we just...
No, we can't. We gotta figure
we just censor the cum.
Some part? Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was... That's the thing. It's like, I understand that... There was another person here who, in the Reddit thread, was talking about the kitchen sex scene.
I'm writing the episode title down.
Was talking about the kitchen sex scene, and they're like, when he bird mouthed her cum in her mouth, and I've never thought about cum spitting the same.
What?
Bird spitting. I forgot how exactly they said.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Bird mouthing the cum in her mouth.
Who did that?
He did during the sex scene. It's just another way of saying making her eat her own cum, but he literally ate it out of her and spit it into her mouth in that kitchen scene.
He did do that.
He did do that.
It was hot in the scene, but when you put it like that is fucking gross. Whoever came up with that, whoever said that, they're going to hell.
That sounds like some
Why
shit.
Why would you do that?
Honest. It does. But yeah, so David is a very twisted guy, and you hear because of the big spoiler at the end is the fact that David wasn't lobotomized, and they decided to keep him. That's another thing. That's how stupid they were. That's why I'm telling you they were stupid, because I'm like, you decide to keep this lobotomized man. And he's like, oh, she's a caring person. I'm like, no, he's not mentally well. And
I just feel like that was very naive of her.
That was dumb.
To be
honest.
That
was dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
And they weren't even sure. That's another thing too. I would have known ahead of time. I'm like, they're looking for this killer the entire time. It was so easy to kill this one, and we have this lobotomized manservant. Like they pulled the whole.
Do we think that? Do we think that David was like the pinky to that man's brain? You know, like Pinky in the Brain, like... So David was Pinky, and Pinky is really the mastermind of everything.
No, he had no idea. He said it in the end, that he had no idea. What?
I don't remember shit.
It's okay. He mentioned it in the end that he had no idea. But... just the idea of just, like... They pulled a whole fucking scary movie on them. Duffy was the villain the entire time.
Oh.
Am I wrong?
No.
Duffy was the killer the entire time.
I'm glad that wasn't actually what happened in Scream, though.
I know.
I'm so glad. Yeah,
but I'm just saying.
I love Dewey.
You
But
literally
yeah.
Dewey. It's not Duffy. You're right. Dewey. His name's Dewey. My bad.
Oh, his name. Oh, I haven't seen Scary Movie in a long
No,
time,
you're
so I
right.
just
It's
assumed
Dewey.
that was his name in Scary Movie.
I think
But in Scream,
was it
his
Duffy
name
or
is Dewey.
I think in the movie
It's
Scary
Dewey
Movie.
in Scream, but I don't know what it is in Scary Movie.
Me neither. I'll look that up later. Either way, like, and then like at the end when he's talking about like, I'm like they're both dumb because one, whenever they're having the argument about the whole, when he's just like you're a psycho, you're crazy, stay away, kind of bullshit. I'm like she should have clocked that a mile away.
Yes, but I will say one of my least favorite tropes in any dark romance. Well, it's the miscommunication trope because that shit just pisses me off. It's very triggering, but it's also like when the guy is like, "I'm gonna say the meanest fucking thing so that you hate me and leave me," like because
Bella
just like
Bella did it.
Don't. Bitch, don't even get me started on when Bella did that shit to Charlie. Absolutely not. Charlie ain't deserve that shit.
Yay! Yeah. I just found the whole ending to be unnecessary. Like it was necessary in the book, but I felt like the character should have been way smarter than that to deal with that. And I felt like Rowan's this brutal guy. Like they're supposed to be really smart. They should have been able to get out of this situation. But I get it.
Well, especially because when she realized what was happening, and she calls Lachlan, and she's like, "Get me everything that you know about David, whatever his last name was." Why did y'all not do this before? Because
they're horrible.
If the information that Lachlan provided you then was what you needed to find out that this man was actually a serial killer or whatever, why was that information not available before?
Yeah, it was very unnecessary. Like I said, there's a lot of plot holes in the book. This book is not good for the plot holes. There's a lot of plot holes in this book.
Yeah, but I will say I do not read these books for like.
There are certain books that I do read for the plot. There are, but this is not one of them. This is not one of them, guys. This is not one of them.
Oh my god, I'm not bored. I'm just a sleepy girl.
What's your bedtime?
Yeah, honestly, but it's fine. I'll go to sleep at like 11. I typically, yes, sometimes I do read books for the plot, and I will say, like, though we have addressed the fact that there are flaws in this, I still enjoy the plot of this.
Yeah.
But I don't. A book has to be really fucking bad for me to be like,
this plot doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't want to.
Plot, yeah. It has to be really bad for me to not even. And this book is nowhere near that. This book is just.
Well, it's because what you said earlier. It's a fun book for fun. It's fun.
It's fun. Right.
You could tell this book why it's supposed to be a fun, dark themed book, and you have to just take that away from it. And I think that's what I'm kind of ending it on for this book because.
Yeah.
You can go back and forth about a lot of things with this book, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is a good, like I said earlier, it's a good intro for dark romance books because it gives you a lot of everything without giving you too much of going into the darkness. It gives you a little bit enough to keep you into the plot. So, I think we kind of need to edge out.
Yeah. And I think going into the next book, like when you get into Leather and Lark, I think it's a little bit darker.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit darker. Still very much a comedy, dark romance.
Yeah.
Or dark romance comedy. But it definitely, I say, is a little bit darker. And then Scythe and Sparrow is probably like the middle ground between the two.
Correct. So, what made you feral about this book?
I kind of already said it, but definitely just the effort, the way that he was just so very much all the way in with her. Just like that stuff really, really, really gets me. The cooking, I really liked the honestly, I'm a little bit torn because the sex scenes are so different.
Yeah.
In each scene, like the things that happen in them. So I don't know which one I liked better. I do think that the bedroom sex scene when they're at Fion's house
It's hotter.
is better. Yeah, it's hotter. But I do like the idea of having sex on a table where the windows
Are open.
are what is it, two-way or whatever? So like I can see out but they can't see in. Like that's so fucking hot.
I
That's so
agree.
fucking hot. But yeah.
No, I definitely agree. Because you also get a lot more kinkier shit in the first one. Obviously, they're anal and other things like that in the first one. He's a lot more dominant in the first one. The second one has a little bit of humor to the sex, even though it's not supposed to. Because, like I said in the first take, did we ever figure out what the fruit was?
What the what?
The fruit that he ate her out and was like, think about the first fruit. If I could put this on this little
persimmon.
No, it was. I mean, the actual the dessert itself.
No, I forgot to look it up.
I forgot to look it up too. But that was a little humorous. But like, oh, that was another point and somebody made that I didn't even think about. You named your restaurant after your code for your fillings.
Yeah. I was like, y'all, okay.
No, okay. Nobody's gonna clock that. Nobody's gonna clock that you named your restaurant after your filler names. Nope. Just because it doesn't say Orbreaver doesn't mean nobody's gonna know the Blackbird shit poem she's always fucking reading and leaving behind. Like,
yeah.
They're stupid, guys. They're stupid in the audience.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I feel the same way. That's what made me feral about this book was the sex scenes were good. I did like them. They were spicy. Like I said, it wasn't that I wasn't a fan of the kitchen scene. I think that was the hardest. The hottest part was the windows, like having sex, being able to see people outside, and but that scene with the whole thinking of the fruit, and I forgot to talk about it. So we did forget to mention this part, but we remembered a bunch of other shit, so I'm proud of us. So I remembered it now. So with this book, it's available. We're gonna list basically where you can read it, watch it, do whatever, however you like to consume your media. Some of us like audiobooks. Selena is more keen to audiobooks. I'm a print kind of girl, but I have started kind of getting into audiobooks a little bit more, just because I'm very overstimulated. We are both very neurodivergent girls, and we've played this all the time, very similar bonds. So talking about before we end the segment, for this segment, I joined in on reading the audiobook along with the print.
My roommate is coming home, and she's gonna walk behind me. No, don't apologize. We're recording, so I just didn't want the noise to overshadow what we were talking about. You're totally fine.
But so for this book in particular, I delved in to do the audiobook with Selena, and we are going to talk about that now, and we will talk about that with books that we decide to do audiobooks with and print books. So in this book, I will rate, again, we did this in our first take. I was not a fan of Sloane's voice actress, so it kind of threw me out a little bit for certain parts of it. But Rowan's voice actor was amazing. Irish man. Accent was on point. Everything was good. He was so passionate about the entire book.
The actor is actually Irish. I think he's just really good at accents.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Irish accent was good. I agree. I'm piggyback off what you said last time. I did like the fact that they kept the point of view separate, and the woman wasn't reading his parts, because again, I was not a fan of Sloane's voice actress, and if you are watching this, I'm so sorry. It's just a personal preference. It's because you sound a lot older than the character actually initially is. So it kind of threw me out. I would have probably been out if she was reading his lines. I probably would have stopped reading the audiobook.
Yeah. I tend to not like it when it really depends because not everyone is good at it, but one of the things that I hate about audiobooks when you are already paying two actors, and I don't know anything about making audiobooks, so maybe I should shut the fuck up. But as a consumer, one of the things that I hate about audiobooks is when you already have two voice actors and then like the dialogue for one character is in the other person's chapter and that person is not reading their own lines. Like it just sounds so much better when they're doing it in a true duet format. Yeah. And yeah, the voice actor for Rowan was really good. They do end up changing the voice actor in the next two books because apparently that voice actor is no bueno. He is a bad boy. Yeah. But the new voice actor is Eric Nolan, who I'm a very big fan of. So it makes me very happy. And he is actually Irish. So, you know, I am already a fan of that. I should have said when you asked me what made me feral, that should have been the first thing that I said is that the man is Irish.
Yeah.
That should have been the first thing that I said because
well, you know, I love me some Boondock Saints, so I'm an Irish girl myself. And I'm an Irish girl myself, so well by genetics. But bro, what I was gonna say. We can probably release this by now because this will come out after we've had the pod. But do you want to do our who did our intro?
Oh yeah, let me pull it up so that I say it correctly because I don't want to fuck it up.
After they sent you a nice voice memo, being happy to do our intro. Yes.
Like, let me respect you. Hold on. Okay. So, I truly hope that everyone enjoyed our little intro because it was made in part by Zane Xenos, who I met through Instagram and Threads. They are a voice actor.
Will be down below.
Oh,
It'll be put down below.
We'll tag them
that
somewhere, you know, around.
Yes, we're gonna try to have. Go ahead. Sorry.
So Zane Xenos did the voice acting for the intro, and then the music composure part was made by Q the Mastermind. So that was, you know, a fun little collaboration project. I just sort of told them what we were looking for, and that's what we got. So this is, you know, by the time you hear this, you will have heard it, but we have not heard it yet. So
no, I'm excited.
Hope it's good.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully we'll have, because I'm going to be editing this, we'll have, once we get it up on YouTube and stuff like that, we will have links to the books, audiobooks. With Selena's help, we'll be able to do that together. Selena is going to have that up on our Instagram, so we'll have the book recommendations. I think we'll just probably either have a highlight, we'll have a link tree, something, Google Doc, something that'll have the books we're doing along with everything else like that. So we'll be able to you'll be able to stay connected to what we're doing through that process. So now it's time for our horror portion.
Moving on along to the movie. So for this, we try to pick movies that are in theme with the book, but what I'm realizing, because like the next book that I'm going to recommend to you or that I'm going to have you read is a reverse harem. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm the fucking end all be all of movies, but I don't know that I've ever seen a movie about a reverse harem. So
I have.
Is it a horror movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm scared.
You should be.
I don't like the look on your face.
you know me, the horror gal. I've got.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about our podcast too. Selena has a more depth into the book area, and I have a little bit more depth into the horror scene. So we're both into both. but it's easy. We have expertise in both, so we can kind of help each other out in some aspects.
Yeah. But yeah, so I say all that to say like our point is to try to be as on theme with the books and the movies to be somewhat similar. They're likely never going to match 100%, but there will be similar elements. And with that being said, for this week's movie, we chose
Hold on. ADHD pause. Also, in the future, we probably will be doing live streams on our podcast. And if you do have suggestions for the book that or movie or a book that correlates with those things, eventually down the road, depending on if I stay in my own home long enough and we have time, we might end up doing a Patreon to where we could react to certain movies. So if you found like something that was closer to Butch and the Blackbird and you want us to watch those movies, we might be doing movie reactions in the future. We might be doing a lot of stuff on that Patreon. So that is a possibility. So please comment below or, comment now.
Reach out to us, DM us, whatever.
Yeah, comment below, and we're always just open to suggestions to certain things. And if there's certain things we could have done, or movies or books we could have read that were closer to either one, there's still time to make more content for that. So, yeah. Sorry if I didn't say that was
no, that's fine. But also, what I want to say right now, I feel like at some point a lot of people are going to recommend Akatar by Sarah J. Maas. I'm telling you right now, I'm not reading that. That lady is a Zionist and she's racist and a lot of other things. I'm not reading that. I don't want to get into that fandom because I know that I'm gonna want those bat boys. I know. I already know. And I don't want to get into a fandom that I'm going to have to leave because the author does not give a fuck about me as a human being. So
we might have to we might end up having to make a disclaimer on the social medias of just maybe the video on TikTok, do a video of stuff we're not doing. Instagram, we might have a Google Doc of books we're not reading or something like that. Because I did also mention the last time, and I'll mention now, there are dark romance books and horror movies and stuff like that we may mention and do small discussions about in little details, not for full episodes, but we might have an episode where we talk about just that books and stuff we will not read and why, just so people are more educated and don't go into it. So we might have an episode. I'm pretty sure we are going to have it because I told you splatterpunk was one of the things that I'm not comfortable reading, even if it's a romance or anything else like that. I'm not into reading splatterpunk books. So
I know you told me what it was, but I definitely blocked it out because I don't remember. And you don't have to remind me. We can talk about it later.
Though most splatterpunk books aren't dark romances, but there are horror movies that are inspiring books for splatterpunk, and you get into horror movies like Serbian film and that kind of stuff. We're not watching I'm not forcing you to watch movies that are going to fuck up your psychological thing. But I do feel like it is important to talk about dark books, and I feel like it is important to talk about those kind of things. Maybe we'll just do one video talking about things we won't touch on the reasons why for that reason, because there is a debate between art and the art of things and just writing shit for the hell of it and things that are bad and stuff like that. And obviously with recent events with that author that just came out about the book that was grooming, and I don't really even want to give that thought or anything. That'll be on our list.
Yeah, we don't need to
talk about that another time, but we're not talking about that on this one. I feel like it does at some point we will have a video discussing certain things and why we won't be discussing them. So
I mean that's important. I mean, one, especially with what we're talking about, particularly with the dark romance aspect of it. Boundaries are a really big conversation. So that
we don't want to ever jeopardize
about boundaries
either.
Yeah, because this is already a touchy subject. So but before we went off on that little ADHD tangent, because both of us are spicy brained, we were getting into our movies. So the movie that we chose for this week was Heart Eyes. It is a new slasher film where I do believe it came out Valentine's Day. No, Valentine's Day
weekend. Yeah, it's the week before Valentine's.
It was Valentine's Day weekend. It's starring Mason Gooding and oh fuck, I forgot her name. I love her too. Fuck. Hold on.
You keep on going. I'll look it up.
But so basically, it's about a serial killer who kills couples on Valentine's Day weekend.
Olivia Holt, by the way.
Yes, Olivia Holt. Love her. Love her. So I actually saw this movie opening weekend. I saw it, I think, the Thursday before it officially came out. You know how they do like nighttime showings the Thursday before the Friday that the movie comes out or whatever. So I saw it that Thursday. And I really, really loved it. It's definitely making like probably my top 10 of like favorite slasher films just because it's so, and you can tell that it was produced by the same producers who made Scream because of how campy it was.
Yeah.
And how like the whole film itself was sort of sarcastic. You know what I mean? Like it was sort of like making fun of itself.
It's basically like the book.
Yeah.
The humor, that's another reason why we chose that, because the humor is just like very similar. I mean, not similar in the way they are, but it's very like, the whole point is they're both very campy.
Yeah.
And the more we chose it, I'm glad we chose that book because the similarities are coming out. Like the fact that you have Jake, the golden retriever, you know, male lead, and then you have like the little black cat energy girl the entire time. Like it was very similar, and they're both very stupid. Like they're very. I feel. Oh my god!
When they first met, she fucked up his face real bad.
Yeah. AJ is a little smarter than Sloane, even though Sloane's a serial killer. I'm sorry, I will say this: AJ is very smart.
Yeah.
That metal straw came in clutch, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
her name is Allie.
They called her AJ multiple times in the movie, though.
They did?
They did.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they called her AJ at the beginning. Trust me. I have paid attention.
I mean, I believe you.
The name. But anyways, continue on.
Oh.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm going to edit that out, actually.
But no, but you're right. Like she was very smart, and I feel like she
led the whole movie, just like Sloane led pretty much everybody in the situation. Sloane was the smartest one out of the whole room, and sometimes she even did stupid stuff, but like literally, like it's literally like doo doo doo, golden retriever boy in the background, doo 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 doo, and she's like no, and people like yeah. And I think one of people's favorite scenes definitely is like the innovative kill, obviously, with the couple in the car.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That was one of my favorite kills in the movie. And it's not necessarily the guy, but the way that he did that to the girl, where because they were having sex, and so it mirrored her giving him head, and it was great.
Yeah,
unfortunate for them.
Yeah,
but great.
Yeah, the kills in this were very good. The intro kill was. I know you liked the intro kill, but the intro kill for me was not the intro kill. Technically the intro kill wasn't bad. It was the intro kill to the intro kill technically is the guy getting speared in the head, but the actual,
with the camera,
I'm talking about the first like chase kill was the girl in the little
the grape smasher thing.
Yeah, that was a little lackluster for me, but I was as an intro kill.
Rough.
It was gross, but it was lackluster for an intro kill.
Well, see, and I think the reason that our opinions on that differ is because you don't have a problem with gore.
No,
I do. I do. And that moment was when I realized, I said, "Oh, this movie is gonna be gory." Okay.
Not from when he got shot in the head.
Well, because I mean, that wasn't gory though. It was like.
Yeah, it was quick.
It was intense, but it wasn't gory.
Yeah.
Like, and the first time that I watched it, I covered my eyes when when her head got smashed. Yeah, but the second time I didn't. And so I actually saw her fucking head and body get smashed, and I was like, oh, that's disgusting.
Oh. No, I get you.
This is why I still haven't watched Terrifier.
Yeah, it's gonna take you a lot to build up for that.
It's like, it's just so juicy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The intro was very fun. It was different. Like the force. I don't want to say force, but like the influencer kind of setup proposal.
Yeah,
that's where we are
the
now.
scripted proposal.
That thematic quality is very similar. Like, it's very, like, the campiness reminds me of Megan a little bit. Like, how they're doing things nowadays, like, a little bit. You see what I'm saying? Like, the aesthetic of it. It's very, like, we're going towards that with comedy now. With that comedy angle going towards the future with influencing and into horror movies. And I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. The way they did the intro it kind of teetered in and out for me with the comedy with it, but it was okay. It was definitely different. I did like that. I did like that they did different. I liked it a lot, like, for sure. It was definitely interesting and different to start it off that way, for sure. I was not expecting it to start out that way, for sure.
Me either.
And honestly,
I think they did that really well. Because
I didn't do it legally. But I thought somebody didn't watch it legally.
I didn't either.
Well, I was
for the first time I did pay for it.
Yes.
But it was not accessible
second time
to my pockets when I needed to watch it again. So,
but she did support it the first time.
I did.
Yeah. But I did think it was commercial the first time. I did not think it was part of the movie.
Oh, I knew it was part of the movie, but I did not think anyone was going to die. I was like, what is the point of this?
Well, you watched it legally.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Then we get into our main character. She has been broken up with by her boyfriend, and basically she's still obsessing over him. And she writes this campaign, which turns out for this company, and it turns out bad because it's supposed to be like this whole romantic jewelry and luxury experience. And she basically writes these. I thought it was a damn good commercial for some reason.
I thought it was great.
She basically does all these couples, basically dying famous couples in history, and her boss fucking hates it.
Well, and the thing that pissed me off about that was like, girl, you greenlit this until you realized how, like, the optics of it for the timing. Like, the timing was not her fault. You okayed it before. So...
And you released it. Without a focus group.
Yeah.
I love that Southern boss, by the way. That accent was killing.
That actress is great. I love her.
It was giving Scream. Characters were really giving Scream with the personality. The way they are. The personality, for sure. So they hire Jake to help clean it up. And Allie thinks Jake is gunning for his job. Jake is not. He's trying to woo Allie out of her feet because they have a little meet cute. And he is a boss boy, travel man. And he's got his friend's wedding the next day. The day after Valentine's Day. I guess it was cheaper.
I never considered that. Yeah,
you never considered that? His friend's wedding was the next day?
Yeah, you're right. It was the day after Valentine's Day. That's
well, they probably didn't want to get killed by the killer, you know? I don't blame them.
I mean, I guess.
Would you get married on Valentine's Day when there's a serial killer running around killing couples? No. Probably.
No, but I wouldn't get married on Valentine's Day either way.
But, yeah, so she thinks he's taking her job, so she goes super hardcore in on just, like, not buying it. They did the trope. They did the trope where it's like we do a meet cute and then you work for my boss. Small little world. And then They had a little bit of tropes in there, and I realized now that I'm glad I said it, changed my mind from the first time I said this, because it was like, how do you feel about the tropes of having the minority friend? But you know what? I kind of get it, because if you're going for the campy angle, that makes sense to have the
It
tropes.
feeds into that, yeah.
Yeah, so I understand having the tropes in there now, for sure. It kind of gave, like, after I watched it again, it made sense. Like,
she also was she was a standout character for me.
she was.
The best friend, yeah.
What'd she say? She had a sponsor?
Yeah. She had a glucose guardian.
Glucose guardian, and she was a standout character, and I think that was something somebody in the Reddit thread said. I really like that they didn't feel the need to kill off every character they introduced, like the best
I agree.
boyfriend. Having the killer and motive be unrelated to the main character worked in this case, considering this was a nationwide killer, and I agree with that.
Yeah, because and then connecting it back to Scream, which, of course, on a podcast where I am involved and we're talking about horror movies, of course I find a way to bring up Scream more than once. Like, can we just talk about how on brand that shit is?
I brought up the Terrifier like 3 times, so here we are.
But I think because with Scream, it's so focused on Sydney. I mean, for most of them, for the last couple, it hasn't been necessarily Sydney, but
yeah,
the focus is so much around the main character and every person that they know that it's nice that with the slasher film, it's like this. It's just like, no, I'm just killing random people.
Yeah,
I'm just killing people.
There's no motive. I just like killing.
Yeah.
I don't need a motive. I'm bad. I'm gonna kill you because you're in love.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I agree. Somebody said, I thought the killer being in the closet was a really surprising reveal, even though it was in the trailer.
Yes. No, and it wasn't, and I agree, because my thing was like, how the fuck did they get in there? Because they would have had to get to her apartment before Jay and Allie did, because they watched them from the restaurant when they kissed.
Right. So
but they kissed. How did you know? But they had to follow her because they don't necessarily know where she lives. I mean, they don't know where she lives because they just saw her. Like, they weren't tracking her. They didn't know who she was. So though every time I watch it, I'm like,
they had a long time when they were doing that whole thing and talking at the door with the window.
Yeah, but she couldn't get in. So how did he get inside?
Probably a window or something. Who the fuck actually knows?
Yeah, that's why I was like, I like this because that was very creative, but it was also very much monster movie magic because realistically it didn't make sense for him to have
think what probably happened is because there was that's why I like the way they did the dialogue during that whole entire thing. The killer would have had time after they punched in the thing and went in to get in behind them, because their dumbasses probably didn't lock the door.
Oh, probably.
They didn't lock the door behind them. So they probably, like, when they were doing the whole scene of moving, because if you remember, they were panning through the house as they were moving. He was looking through the house. So they probably got in while they were doing that, and, like, they moved a couple times through the house and were doing shit and looking through the house and talking about Pikachu and all that stuff and looking through stuff. That killer probably, them two were talking so freaking much that he probably snuck in at some point.
Yeah, and but then there was that point where he was like, where she was like, oh, sit down, and he, like, looked at her couch, and I was like, okay. And
that's
so
what I'm saying. They had enough time with the dialogue to sneak in there. And because they ended up punching the thing open, anybody could have got in.
That's true.
But I did like it. That was I agree. The horror thing was a nice surprise.
It definitely
and remember.
It definitely gave me a little jump.
It was a nice jump. Let's see. A lot of people didn't like the fact that the killers had no reason to reveal themselves, and the fact that they gave Allie the gun in the first place to make that decision was kind of dumb. But
yeah, I agree, because why would she not shoot you?
Yeah, if they literally had the perfect out with the third guy taking the fall and could have regrouped for the next year.
Yeah,
it made no sense to go after them, but at the same time, like, who knows? Because the killers, at that point, it was just like...
I will say, I do think the other connection between this and Butcher and Blackbird is that the killers in this were stupid. Like,
Yeah.
and I won't say that they were messy because they got away with it for a few years, but
I think.
I
Well,
just think
were
that
they
they were
always two
dumb
people?
because
Were they always two people?
no, I think it was two people and then eventually it became three
Three.
because the first one, the one that they killed initially was their other partner.
And I think that's why they messed up by going after Allie and Jake, because if it had only been one person, they wouldn't have went after them
Yeah.
in the first place. But because it was multiple people, it's just like you lose continuity, and it kind of proves that there wasn't one killer to begin with. That should have let you know the fact that they went after them in the first place and had time to go after them. Would have been it, while killing other people should have been it. Somebody put finally the goth throuple makes their king everybody else's problem. That's literally what it was.
That's valid.
Because I think I've been saying
That
at the
is a
beginning
valid
of the kink.
assessment.
They're like, it's a kink, it's a kink, it's a kink. It really was a kink. But it's true.
And you know something? There was a point, I forgot what she said in the very first part where she's talking to the other cop, which, yeah, she's talking to the other cop. Huh?
The girl from the Fast and Furious?
Is that who that is?
The one that was on the dating app. She's from the Fast and Furious. She's the main, Paul Walker's, love interest.
Oh.
Listen.
I saw all of those movies once, but my motivation behind watching those movies was for a boy, so immediately after I stopped talking to his dumb ass, I forgot everything about those movies.
I'm also an action movie stan because that's a whole nother discussion for another day about horror movies and action movies going hand in hand. What?
But when she was talking to the other cop, sorry, the other cop who is played by Devon Sawa, who is a Scream King in his own right. She said something, and I said, I bet it's her. Yeah. I don't know how, but I bet it's her. Because, I don't know, she said something just a little bit too weird, and I was like... So...
Do you kind of wish they didn't do that, though? I kind of wish they kept it as a random...
I do kind of wish that it wasn't...
them.
That, yeah.
I kind of hope they turn it into just like somebody that got inspired and just decided to singly slash people. Like they do a whole different storyline with it.
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely have the means to do that. I mean, I feel like this particular movie was wrapped up in a bow at the end.
Yeah.
But there are copycats and things. I mean, Scream is going on 7 movies now.
Yeah.
So.
And again, they did a really good job of, like, very similar to Butcher and Blackbird. They didn't go too much into, like, they did go into a lot of character depth about the characters themselves, but they didn't do too much, like, insane world building to where, like,
yeah,
you couldn't wrap it up. So even, like, nothing, you can put another character do something else completely different and it still tie in very nicely to this movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was just an what do you have?
That was a lot of it, actually.
So then we can...
I'm trying to think.
I was just going to say we can go into what was...
I also want to keep on talking
about it.
Huh?
I was going to say we can just go into what made you scream about it or what made you feral about it.
Let me make sure we're actually depicting this movie because we talked a lot about the book. Let's see. There's a lot of Reddit people basically said yes, this was a huge nod to Scream. Someone said you kind of have to go into these movies with the same attitude as you would the episode of Scooby-Doo. If you have 6 functioning brain cells, you'll be able to figure out who did it in the first 30 seconds. If you ignore that, just enjoy the ride and have a good time. You know, I agree.
That tracks because Scooby-Doo is one of my favorite media things. I can't say TV show because it has so many different forms of media, and I love almost every one of them. The weird Cartoon Network things that they did like a couple of movies, like within the last like 10 years, I don't claim those. And Scoob, that movie that came out like a couple years ago, I do not claim that either. But everything else, yeah, that's my shit.
Yeah. I did like the story building a little bit with the characters, like, because it explains why they like feel their way about love and everything else like that. That was nice. I like that we have a seasonal horror movie character. That was nice.
I love that when they were talking about like their past and stuff. That was the scene where the couple was having sex behind them, right? Yeah. And they were just
and while they were going,
and it was funny because I thought that they would break like a lot sooner than they did, but they just kept going like nothing was happening, and she kept getting louder and louder, and it wasn't until she was like screaming that they were like, oh my god. I was like, oh, because
I mean, I guess at that point, after everything you've been through that night, you're finally getting like a fucking breather. Yeah. I feel like if I was in a horror movie and I just got away from the villain for that long, I wouldn't be having these conversations like they do in these movies. I would just be like, me and you would be talking about what the fuck we're doing to get out of this situation.
Yeah. My thing is like, we're in a car now. Let's get the fuck out of here. I don't care that these people are fucking in the backseat. They're not even going to notice when we start driving this car.
Well,
like, let's get the fuck out of here.
We couldn't drive off because... Oh, that was another thing we were talking about. What you would have done. Because they were staying so that way they could kill him, the killer. Because they brought him here and they wanted to take him off. That's why they stayed. Because she grabbed his hand.
No, at that point, they were still just trying to get away. And then when he killed that couple, and then everyone started screaming and running away, then they were trying to leave. And then she was like, no, we have to be Captain Savaho.
Because we brought him here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Now, at that point, I would have just been like, let's get the fuck out of here and steal his car. Like, what do we have to lose? These people are not going to care.
Yeah. I don't know if I would try to kill him. I would have told you that. I was like, we gotta remember.
Maybe not at that moment. I might have gone somewhere else to like get more weapons and like regroup. Yeah, and then come to kill him. Although that fucking metal straw came in handy, so like good for you, sis. They've
already been attacked once. They've already been attacked at the police station. At that point, the third time, the fourth time is I'm getting out the car. The third time, when I'm running away from this bitch, we're making plans. We're not... I would have made plans after the police department. I would have made that fucking place no plan.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's just... And the span of the fact that this is happening over 24 hours is crazy.
Right.
Crazy. And I guess it's the whole love at first sight thing. I don't really fucking know. But, like, you don't know this man. You don't know Jake.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know him.
But, unfortunately, I would have trusted him.
I wouldn't trust him.
He is too beautiful. I would have trusted him. Immediately.
This is why we need brain cells. More than one brain cell working the operation. Because...
Yeah.
I love how, like... I think I said this in the last video. Like, a lot of people are bringing that trope of, I have my window open and there's like a moth that keeps on fucking around. That trope that now everybody's like...
responded to that so calmly.
I'm not bad about bugs.
I know. Because you are a country girl and I am not.
I'm just not... I'm an animal person. I don't really get bothered by that. That line has been used a lot in a lot of movies. Just every movie where the main guy's just like, these muscles are for cuddling, they're not for attacking people. I'm like, we really are like getting into the era of just like golden retriever men, and that's okay. In horror and books.
I'm here for it.
I am. And then there's still fuckboys out there that don't understand people want golden retrievers, but whatever. I digress.
Golden retriever soft dom is the sweet spot.
Thank you. Yeah. As far as like I said, I enjoyed the kills in this. Could have used a little bit more for me, but at the same time, for a first movie, because I feel like they're going to do a sequel. If they don't.
Sure they will.
Yeah. So, what made me scream about this movie was probably, again, definitely the oral sex kill was definitely one of my favorites, and just coming up and seeing that visual of just the mouth.
Yeah, when she came up, yeah.
Yeah. The closet, The kill was good. The kills were good. I think that was it. That was pretty much my scream. What made me scream about that was just like a lot of ode was to Scream, and it was good. It brought campiness back in a good way. Like, it was the first like camp movie that didn't make me. It made me cringe a little bit in certain parts, but like I'm talking about like new agey camp movies. Like, that was pretty decent. I agreed, because even Megan made me cringe a little bit in some parts too. So, but did you see they're bringing that shit back?
I couldn't take Megan seriously. I was laughing the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't do dolls. Like, doll movies sincerely freak me out. But I was like, this girl is dancing down a hallway. Like,
you see the second one?
I think so. Yeah, it does look creepy.
It's not gonna be creepy.
Like,
it's gonna be.
It is creepy, but it just looks. It's funny.
Oh, you haven't seen. Well, okay, I'll show you that trailer after we get talking. There's just not a lot. Like, I wish we could get more involved in this movie, but the fact that like it already has a premise very similar and very style similar to Scream, it's like you can't really say anything else much about it other than like it brings that same factor of Valentine's Day and Scream. Like, even the Valentine's Day movie, it kind of has some similarities into it too as well. So overall, I would definitely rate that movie. I'd probably rate the movie and the book the same. I'm at, now that I've kind of like read them for the third and watched them for the third time, I'm at a 6.5.
Okay.
6.5.
I give both a 7.5. And I'll say what made me scream, or like the part that stuck with me, what my favorite part was. First of all, well, the part that I go feral for is Mason Gooding. Like, just beautiful man. And then one of my favorite parts of the movie was actually not even like the kill. It was that part after they killed him, and the cop was like, "Oh, I'll take you to your hotel room or whatever." And then she's like on the phone with her bestie, and she's like, "You need to go to him. Go to the airport. Go to him, find him." And then she goes to the airport and she runs up on that dude, and it's not the right dude, and he just like doesn't respond. He's just like, and then turns around and walks away, and just that, when I saw that part, I said, this is the campiest shit I've ever seen. Like, not like truly the campiest, but it was just like, I love that they did like a fake out ending, and it would like, I just think it was so like, I really, really loved it, and that was one of the things that really stuck out to me and stuck with me and cemented it for me that it was like a really top tier movie for me. It has also, like you said, that kill, the oral sex kill, was great.
It had a lot of Scream Queens energy, which I know you haven't seen, and I really want to at least watch an episode or two of that. But Scream Queens it kind of had a lot of Scream Queen energy, which I did like. That was the last campy thing I've seen that was very similar to Scream. And yeah, it was pretty much. So I think we're good to wrap up.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I will tell you right now, I have picked the next book for you. It will be Den of Vipers, which I am definitely looking forward to reading again. Hold on, let me, it's Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. It is a reverse harem.
Yes.
And honestly, that's really all I want to tell you. It's set in Britain, so or in the UK, in London. I don't remember exactly where, but they all have British accents. I want to tell you to do the audiobook, but some of the accents are bothersome to me, and I listened to the whole audiobook, but some of like one of the guys, his audiobook narrator, like his voice, he just sounds like an old man.
No. So that'll be the episode after our next episode.
Yeah,
we're gonna do
in May.
Yeah, so we're going to do each book recommendation, so it'll be hers, then mine, then hers. So next week, we'll be doing Ice Planet Barbarians.
Ice Planet Barbarians. And
which is like an OG original, like, book talk, girly book kind of book. Like, when TikTok was first coming out, like, this was the book that they were, like, everybody was squealing over. So if you know, you know. So this is your chance once you've seen this this podcast. Go ahead and read that. It's a very short read.
It's like a 5-hour audiobook.
Yeah, it's not very long. I'm going to go ahead and give you trigger warnings now. There is mention of rape and rape. It's in the beginning of the book. There's no descriptors.
It's like off-screen.
Off-screen, no descriptors. They just mentioned that that happened. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you guys. The character is basically saying that this is happening over here. Everybody's trying to look away. She looked and saw. It was horrifying. She doesn't go into detail. She just says basically, yes, this character got raped. And then that's it. Yeah. Pretty much. She just mentioned I watched what happened, and that's what has happened. It doesn't go into descriptors. It doesn't describe it. It just says it happened. And then they mention that, like, oh, we don't want to go back to this place because that's a possibility that can happen again. And then it's never mentioned again in the book. So, we will try whenever we release the episode, or announce it in our little poster and everything else like that. If we can skip it or wherever, we'll try to do our best to mention where it is beforehand, before the episode comes out, or on the social media when we announce the book we're doing again. We'll mention that. We go to trigger warnings to skip past that part, because I think that's really the biggest trigger warning in that book. There's really not a lot of triggers as far as, like, I can think of that are like...
Unless you have an issue with a breeding kink.
Which is, again, if you have an issue with breeding kink, we gotta talk about this whole book, but...
if you have an issue with a breeding kink, just go ahead and skip the next episode, because
I think we might end up having
main thing.
We might have to do that with this book, too, and just kind of be like, put the link to... Because the author has her trigger warnings, a link for this one, so we could put the link for the trigger warnings beforehand. So that'll be our next week's episode, and we chose Species.
Yeah.
One of the original breedable movies.
Yeah.
I pulled that from my childhood, everybody. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I never saw it, so...
Like I said,
I watched it for the first time, like, last week.
Yeah.
Like, it was a solid movie, though. I did really enjoy it, so I'm really excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then after that, like I said, we will go into Den of Vipers. I have not picked a movie for that yet, so I'm gonna...
Yeah, we'll talk about
pick your brain for that. And then in the next episode, you will get to hear Lilith's next pick for me.
So...
yeah, so... That's what you missed on Glee?
So stupid. Well, thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. Like I said, tune in. We'll hopefully have this up within the next couple of days. But again, if you have any recommendations, let us know. And we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah.
Peace
out.